All right, welcome to another video from the chart readers. Hey, if you haven't already, please subscribe. It's the quickest way to get updates. Otherwise, look, I actually sincerely appreciate all the time people have been putting into my videos. I do hope you're learning. So today we're going to look at the EV and charging sector. Okay, so like always, we're going to use our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines that I do manually draw, and then when we're done up here, we'll use these lower indicators, the RSI and the MACD. Okay, so like I do, I normally start with the big player, and Tesla will be that. So it's been pretty much trading as expected, right? Unfortunately, it's been bad trading, don't get me wrong, but what we're looking at should not be a surprise, right? I think the most critical moment is this date right here. What date was this? The 28th, okay? So obviously, all these moving averages are literally just stacked right there, and that failure really just expedited the way down under the 8, right? All of these days are definitely under the 8, so again, none of this really should be much of a surprise. But again, right here you see it. Once we lose another one of my support lines, we work our way down, and we're definitely on the lower side of 200. Do I have any more lines? I'm probably moved to the weekly to make some new lines. But look, a couple things. RSI is definitely super low, right? How low did it get right here? Actually about the same level as we're at right now. So maybe we'll get some sort of bounce. Maybe there's a line coming up that I can draw and it'll at least explain it. But look, overall, we are not in a good place at all, right? We are under every single 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, every single moving average line, right? So that's a real bad place to be on any time frame, right? So let's zoom out to the weekly again. Hopefully I'll make some new lines. Obviously there should be a line here. Let's see if we're actually under that already. I'll try to get as close as I can to it. We're not under it. Definitely touched the wick on it. So that is a upcoming support. And then, yeah, there's a few down here for sure. So let me do, I think this guy right here. I'll take that one, and then we will use we'll use the top of this guy. Okay, cool. So again, look, this, and what I like is the new lines that I made are pretty evenly spaced out, and we're pretty much on our way down really to the 200, and that's really low, right? So again, on the weekly, we've lost 4 of the 5. On the daily, we've lost all 5. And look, that's a really bad RSI, right? We definitely see the green working its way down, the red staying over, and there's plenty lower it can go, right? 40 is a relatively midpoint number, and we've fallen into the negative on the MACD. So the weekly is looking bad, and remember, a bad weekly means a lot of bad days, right? So not a good start to this one on Tesla, and I don't know if we're going to see a lot of the same way across the rest. So this is a new stock I'm going to add. Honestly, I have my old lines because, look, Ford is definitely a stock that I have followed personally. You can see I was kind of working the way up right here. I had a couple lines, but Ford is really a sad one. I'll be honest. There was moments where it just seemed we would never come back down to this range, right? It looked like we were actually hitting 20s plus, right? Again, like I normally say, I've said it a bunch of times, I am optimistic. I always want things to go up. I only assume pessimistic bad things when these lines tell me to. So look, let me just do kind of a quick review on this since it's the first time I'm doing it on this video. There were definitely points where we were just trading really bad, and I don't need to zoom too far back out, but right here you'll see we do break not only the 8 but the 20 and do this beautiful ride up, right? Nothing better than trading above the 8 and just letting it do it every single day, right? I mean, there's a little bit of a scare here, but we never go under, and then we shoot on up. A little bit of a scare here, but again, shoot on up. Right here was really the first point of maybe worry, right? We make a run to the 200. Again, the 200 is the last one, right? So it's always a very important one. And we clearly failed it and then just dropped really, really hard, which sucks, right? But again, you could have seen it as early as this day and avoided a lot of it. You could have gotten out around this line You know what? Let's not even use my lines. You could have just gotten out on the 8, right? Because again, I've never shown this video or shown this ticker before, so you have no idea what my lines were at. But just using the 8, which is super easy, you can definitely replicate these on yours, right? So yeah, definitely avoidable. Look, again, let's just kind of show. I'm going to go to the weekly because it'll be a good place to. Oh man, I have a bunch of lines. Okay, so we're definitely sitting. Where is this line at? So this one's at 12.13, this line right here, and then what's this one at? This one's at 10.50. Okay, so we're basically playing between these two, and look, the 200 is sitting right in the middle of it, right? So we're either going to work our way back up, or we'll probably lose this 200 and work back our way down to 10.50. After 10.50, I've even got another one at 9.50, basically 9.44 exactly, right? But look, again, we're sitting at 11. There's a chance that this thing can go to 9 if it loses the next 2 lines, right? That's a 20% drop, right? So plan accordingly, you know what I mean? And look, this is a bad RSI, right? Again, same thing we saw with Tesla, sitting in the 40s. So there's, look, this thing has gotten as low as 13. So there's plenty of room for this to go down if it wants to. We're already in the negatives on the MACD, and both of them, the red is over, right? We want green over. Green is good, red is bad. So Ford, a new addition, but pretty much the same story that we saw with Tesla. Man, MULN. Look, I've stressed the fact that I'm not trying to bash this stock. I'm not trying to like shit talk it or anything. But look, these lines mean something for a reason, right? Try to break it once, try to break it twice, couldn't do it on the 3rd time, and then just a nasty, nasty tank. And look, it looks like the RSI still has been lower than we're sitting. It's gone to 16, right? So again, the last thing you want to do is buy a stock at all-time lows and ask yourself, how much lower can it go? Because, I mean, I'm telling you, I've seen things go down, right? I will say there's a chance that we might get a little bit of a bounce just because, again, this has been a pretty rough 4 days and we might get a single pop. But look, there's a lot that needs to happen before MULN becomes a long-term hold, right? At least short-term, long-term. I know that doesn't make sense much, but nothing is making me say we're going to have a few good days in a row. Nothing's making me say we're going to have a few good weeks in a row. Because look how far we are from the 8, right? I mean, until this gets over the 8, there's no reason to believe we'll get a few consecutive days in a row, right? It happened here. There was a nice couple week moment where all these weeks were over, which meant there were a lot of good days. But aside from that, we've just been well under. And I am pretty sure that we are in all-time lows, right? I got to zoom out a lot. Sorry about that. But yeah, we've never been this low, right? So a lot really working against MULN. And I promise you, the last thing you want to ask is how much lower can this go? Because it can go lower. I'm telling you, right? I would say the next maybe new line is, I guess, the bottom of this one. But again, a lot has to happen before the MULN is in a good place, right? So again, I said it the last few times. I understand it sounded like a good deal at 80 cents. It sounded like a good deal at 50 cents. It sounded like a good deal at 40 cents. It sounds like a good deal at 25 cents. I don't know if this is going to sound like a good deal at 10 cents, right? So everyone likes to average down, but averaging down gets really expensive. You know, you're going to run out of money. And instead of buying all these here, you could have bought 3 times more down here, right? For every one you bought at 75, you could have bought 3 at 25, right? That's simple math. And it sucks averaging down too early, right? So, and that's another thing I say, it's better to average up. But that's another discussion for another day. So let's take a look at LIDR, LIDR. Okay, so look, LIDR is kind of trying to stay over the 8, right? Looks like today was a little bit of a bad day, which is really sad to say. I don't know if it's going to maybe try to stay. This is at least some of the better RSI and MACDs that we've seen. Nonetheless, MACD is definitely still in the negative, but this is the first, I think, green over red consecutive we've seen down here. Let me zoom out to the weekly. Excuse me about that little hiccup. Are we in all-time lows? Oh man, we are in all-time lows. So look, this is just a bad place to be sitting, right? I'm going to make my line right there. We're actually under the close of this one. So definitely going to be, you know what, I'm going to take it to this. I know I made it on the weekly, but again, we're looking on the daily, and again, we're pretty much sitting right on it, so not too much of a difference. But you know what? I'm actually going to move it to this one. This is the bigger, lower daily, and let's at least see what under 10 cents. Yeah, that's for sure the best one to use. So I will go ahead and use that for now. But yeah, if we lose $1.10, there's no reason LIDR wouldn't go under $1, right? So be careful. Be careful. EVGO, I know a lot of people like this stock, believe me, but look, it's exactly what I said, right? We were sitting in a tight channel, and now it looks like we are starting to make our way on the downside of that tight channel, right? This is textbook stuff, right? And it's why I really hope people believe in the power of technical analysis, right? Generally, when you're in this tight a cluster, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, all 5 of my colored moving averages, which are computer generated, right? I'm not doing anything to those lines. When you're in this tight a cluster, either you break up and it's beautiful, or you kind of do what looks like might be happening. You break down and it gets ugly. So be careful with EVGO. Again, just kind of looking here. We've now definitely confirmed this loss, right? If it can get over 855, that would obviously change a lot of stuff, but really it more than likely seems like we'll be coming down to this 550 range in all honesty. So be careful with EVGO. Again, I know a lot of these tickers I'm looking at are these things that might one day be worth valuable, and it might be worth a lot. It might be worth valuable, sorry. They might be worth a lot, right? These might become big industry. Tesla was at 80 bucks at one day, right? So that said, I'm talking at least short-term immediate moves, right? Look, again, just so much trading under the 8, makes a good run, stops right on my line, and then nothing but trading down, right? There's a couple new lines I guess we can draw. Let me put one right there. Again, when there's this few greens, there's only so much that you can actually put, right? So yeah, that's pretty much what I'll go with. Again, if we lose this, we're going to just keep on going down. Believe me when I say I'm sure Polestar sounded like a good deal at $8 a share. Sounded like a great deal at $7 a share. Sounded like an even better deal at $6. It becomes really expensive to average down. Believe me, just wait for some important line breaks and you can do a lot more with your money. Again, we're barely getting an RSI reading now, right? So like, I don't know the math behind it. It's only been a few weeks relative to a lot of these other ones that Polestar has been a stock, right? This used to be a SPAC that converted. So not enough history to make these lower indicators down here yet. But hey, look, RSI at the minimum, that's pretty low, right? And it definitely looks like it's sloping down, right? So I know we don't see the red. I know we don't see a lot of history, but that's enough to make some assumptions, right? That is not a good RSI. I would have loved to at least seen it sloped up. That would have been better to see on the weekly. So this makes me feel like the weeks are going to be bad, which means a lot of bad days for Polestar. VLDR, again, we've talked about it. This is one of those that are in all-time lows, and we just lost another line, right? So, look, I have no idea if their technology is great. All I know is the lines are saying stay away, right? So I'm not trying to bash anything. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but again, you see it, right? I hope you see it. All these weeks under the 8, that has to mean you're going to have all these days. Sorry to zoom in poorly. Whoops, sorry about all these days under it, right? So, I mean, if you look at the weekly, you'll have an idea how the daily is going to look. If you look at the monthly, you'll have an idea of how the weekly looks, right? So just know the time frame of your trades and you know, prepare yourself accordingly, right? That's the name of the game. Solo, I mentioned it. It was about to go. Oh, this is weekly, but let me just come into the daily. I think it's the same line, really. It was about to fall into all-time lows, and I think it just did on that break right here, right? It tried to stay up this 122 line, made this little break, again gets caught on the 135 line, and just works its way down, right? Real sad. all these weeks under the 8 though, so it should be no surprise, and that's ugly. That's a real ugly RSI, and it's definitely not the lowest it's got. It's gone down to the single digits even, so this could definitely drop even more. And I remember when Solo was a penny stock, so we might be coming back to those penny stock days. Last but by no means least is ChargePoint. Again, ChargePoint seems like a real good stock. It does seem like a lot of the technicals follow Tesla, and this is now kind of starting to get into this tight channel, and it is now looking like it's starting to break. And if that's happening on the weekly, that's bad, right? Because that might mean we're about to have some bad weeks coming. I'm going to make one more line down here, and let me see if there's another. No, I think that's the last one we'll do for now. Okay, so look, again, we're sitting at 13. This could drop to 10, right? That's definitely almost a 30% drop. It's at least a 20% drop, right? It's definitely more than 260, 270 drop. So be careful out there. I'm telling you, one day these may become very valuable. Immediately it seems like they're not, and a lot of it has to do with how the NASDAQ is doing. So trade safely out there. I'm not a hater. I'm just being realistic on what I see on these lines. I hope you're learning.